Oh no, more enemies.
This video shows all the weapons in Ratchet and Clank, including when they're fully upgraded. The guns are upgraded the more you use them, and you can also upgrade them with Raritanium. Also, there's a bug with the PS4's recording software in this game, and sometimes the sound doesn't record properly, so there are a couple clips that are weird. The first weapon you get is the Fusion Grenade.
Could we be looking at Solana's next galactic ranger?
It's basically a frag grenade. In its fully upgraded form, the Fusion Bomb does much more damage. You can throw it farther and it breaks into smaller grenades when it explodes. The Combustor is the most straightforward gun. It shoots a fireball right in front of you. In the original Ratchet and Clank games, there was a similar gun that upgraded so that you held 2 of them, and another game went further and gave you 2 double-barreled guns, so they shot 4 fireballs. This reboot outdoes them all, and the fully upgraded Magma Buster shoots 5 projectiles at once. It works best against groups of weak enemies because each fireball is still pretty weak. It takes a while to take down tougher enemies. The Rossiter is basically a flamethrower. In its fully upgraded form, the Levisator does more damage and shoots out a much larger flame. The Proton Drum shocks enemies within a small radius. It's a good supplementary weapon. You throw one out and then switch guns so enemies are getting damage from multiple sources. In its fully upgraded form, the Protoclast has a huge damage radius, lasts for much longer, and electrocutes 2 enemies for even more damage. You can also throw 2 at a time. Unfortunately, they never do too much damage and work best against weak enemies. Mr. Zircon is another good supplemental weapon. He zips around and shoots enemies and is a good source of extra damage. He works well against swarms of smaller enemies. The fully upgraded Zircon Jr. spawns 2 Mr. Zircons at once, and they shoot much faster and for much longer. The Predator launcher shoots 4 heat-seeking rockets that locks onto enemies. The rockets hover around you while you hold the fire button and shoot when you let go. The fully upgraded Raptor launcher shoots many more rockets and locks onto enemies much faster. The reticule for the lock-on area grows so big it basically fills the screen. As with all the other guns, you can also hold more ammo when it's fully upgraded, which is particularly nice for this gun, since originally you can only shoot 4 times. The Pixelizer is a brand new weapon for this game. It blasts enemies back to the past and temporarily changes them so they look very low resolution. Functionally, the Pixelizer is like a shotgun. It does a lot of damage, but only from a short distance. The fully upgraded Pixelizer HD shoots farther and wider, and allows you to charge up your shot for increased damage. The Plasma Striker is like a sniper rifle. When you look through the scope, each enemy will have a highlighted weak spot. Enemies take much more damage if you can shoot them there. In its fully upgraded form, the Plasma Slayer slows down time so that you can line up the perfect shot. The Warmonger is a strong rocket launcher, pretty straightforward. In its fully upgraded form, the Peacekeeper shoots much stronger rockets that explode into smaller rockets upon detonation. The rockets are also heat-seeking, so you don't have to have very good aim. This is one of the strongest weapons in your arsenal. The Buzz Blades shoot saws at enemies that bounce a couple of times. The fully upgraded Doom Blades shoot the blades much faster, the blades bounce between enemies much faster, and they bounce many more times before disappearing. Concentrated fire from the Doom Blades can quickly take down even the toughest of enemies. The Glove of Doom throws a ball that spawns a few exploding robots that detect enemies and attack. The fully upgraded Apocalypse Gloves spawns robots that can detect enemies from much farther away and that move very fast. Unfortunately, you can only have one set of robots at a time because otherwise they just do too much damage. The Sheepinator is a Ratchet and Clank classic. It shoots a beam of energy that turns enemies into sheep. You have infinite ammo, but the gun doesn't technically do any damage. The fully upgraded Goatinator has a much farther reaching beam and turns enemies into goats. Each time an enemy turns into a goat, there is a large explosion that also mutates the enemies. The goats attack enemies and try to turn them into goats as well. The Rhino is somewhat of a legendary weapon in the Ratchet and Clank universe, and with good reason. It shoots out thousands of tiny rockets and the occasional large one, all while blasting classical battle music. In its weakest form, it's easily the most powerful weapon in the game, but in its fully upgraded form, the Rhino Extreme will easily decimate any and all enemies in no time at all, including bosses. Even though you get it towards the start of the game, we'll finish the video with my favorite weapon, the Groovertron. You throw out a disco ball that forces enemies to dance. In its fully upgraded form, you can throw out 2 at once, they have a much larger area of effect, they last much longer, and they explode at the end. The Groovabomb works on every enemy in the game, and they all have unique dance animations, including the final boss. For me, the Groovertron might be the best weapon in any game ever. Well, that's it. I think Ratchet and Clank is a great game because it's a gamer's game. It's got a good sense of progress, good humor, doesn't take itself too seriously, and it's fun to use all the weapons. Hopefully there's a return of these types of games and we can see more and more of them.